Hey, welcome. The Q&A for the program Everybody Dance Now is part of the SF Indie Fest Shorts Film Festival 2022. I am Jason Wolos, the Shorts programmer for the Shorts Fest, and we have some great filmmakers, talented people with us here today. Hey guys, thanks for being here. It's
Thank
so
you.
cool of you to join us to make this time for your audiences and share a little bit about your filmmaking process. Hey, where are you guys calling in from? Zoom user, you didn't change your name. Who is the Zoom user over there? Who is that guy? What is your real name?
I must be Brian Crew. I'm Cabaseo.
Ah, good. Thank you. Tell us quickly about your film, Brian, too. And if I don't remember your name, that's because you didn't change it. It's your Zoom user now to me.
It's totally my fault. I didn't see that. Yeah, my film is called Cabaseo. It's an Argentine tango fantasy about a young woman who sees a potential new lover across the bar and imagines how the relationship could go, and it plays out as a tango.
Right on. Loved it. Monica, 1 shilling. Introduce yourself and your role in your film quickly.
Hi everyone. I'm the director and choreographer of 1 Shilling. It's about it's a short dance film, contemporary dance, about underground places, illegal underground places during the Blitz in London, where people that weren't allowed to be on for daylight were allowed to be there. So.
And I take it you're calling in from London.
I am calling in from London.
Right on. Thanks for joining us. That's very exciting for us. Forgive me, Marit?
Very close. Moretta.
Okay.
Moretta Munter. I directed and choreographed Through the Ages, and I'm calling in from New York.
All right. Love New York. If I wasn't here, I'd probably be there. Kara, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Kara Chang. I helped produce Landfall by Kate Weir and Jack Flame Sorokin. It's an experimental and atmospheric film set with two women sort of finding their belonging or alienness in nature.
Good to have you. Thank you. Colby?
Hi, yeah, I'm the writer-director of Lead Follow, which is, sort of a single take dance film that kind of goes through all the stages of a new relationship, sort of from first meeting to actually get to know each other and realize, oh, we both have some baggage.
You said sort of a one-take dance. I don't think sort of. I think it is, right?
It is officially. It is officially a single take, which takes a lot of planning and hard work.
We'll talk about that. Yeah, I imagine it does. And Ron, what's your lovely dance film?
Yes, my film is called Backstage Pass, and it was a pandemic lockdown project by the musicians and dancers of the New York City Ballet. We sort of did it off the books. It wasn't an official, production of ballet, but we had nothing better to do. So we made a little movie. We made a few, but this was our big one. And
what was your role in the project?
I directed the movie. I arranged the music. I did a million things, as any director will know. And normally I'm a musician with the orchestra, so there you go.
Got it. Well, thanks to all of you for being here and for making movies. Hey, Ron, since the screen's on you for me,
Sure.
How did this become about? How did it start? What was the inspiration?
Well, basically that we had to make art, and we weren't, going to work, and it was a year and a half that we were out.
When did you make it?
We made it in the first half of 2021. So this is already a year into, our lockdown. And we had made some short, very, very little, YouTube-y, just like Facebook kind of videos. And then one of our musicians' brother happened to be the chief veterinarian of the Bronx Zoo. And she had been working on putting on a concert there for something for us to do, and we said, hey, let's not do just a concert, let's bring the dancers, we'll do a dance concert and we'll make a movie about it. And it all came from there.
Wonderful. Was there audiences viewing the making of?
We had people for our live concert, which was sort of the finale of the movie. The movie was about how we put together the concert, or a fantasy version of it.
Right, and it seemed like the dancers, performers. I can almost sense. To me, I can sense their just excitement and joy to be dancing.
Yeah,
project.
Yeah, everybody had their own kind of thing that they did, during that long period. And every time we would get in front of an audience, it would be like, oh my God, we're back, you know.
Mm.
And of course, when we finally came back in the fall of 2021, it was, you know, off the charts happiness.
Yeah. And Zoom user Brian,
Yes.
lots of energy naturally with tango, but also, I mean, I see this in all the dance films, just the performers enjoying themselves, really into it. And your performers, you know, really looked fun to watch.
Yeah, Jen and Claudio are fantastic dancers. They have been working together for a long time and actually were my dance instructors, which is kind of how the film came about. As I'm an editor by trade and spend a lot of time inside by myself and thought, hey, I need to learn how to dance or something to connect with people. This is pre-pandemic and just to get outside. So I started taking dance classes and I think a lot of you guys are dancers and probably have had students and, you know, it's like, oh, you know, let all our students put on a show. And so I was like, oh, great, I got to do a recital. I feel like I'm in grade school. But I asked Jen when we were doing that as my instructor if I could tell a story with the dance, if we could try to do something that actually had a beginning, a middle, and an end. And that got me really interested. Then once we were telling a story with choreography, I was like, oh, well, now as a filmmaker, how do I bring in lighting and sound design and all those other things that I get to work with and play with as a filmmaker? And how do I add dance to my cinematic language? And so that the film kind of came about as me looking to experiment with that. And
so kind of,
and that's kind of how we evolved.
You've applied fresh eyes from a non-dancer, if you will, to
well,
this.
and that was kind of the fun part of it was we did these rehearsals where we had to come up with the choreography because we had to come up with original music, and we brought in our composer Darren Fung to do the music, and he's a film composer and there's no picture like a traditional film composer can have. And so he was like, well, what am I doing? And thankfully Jen spoke music. She was a violinist, and I could say, I need you to do da 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 da, that means this in the story, and then she could go, that's 8 bars, and Darren would go, aha, 8 bars, and I'm like, I need to play that beat 3 times, I need 24 bars. And then we had a language that we could spend over 5 months developing the music score with the dancers. So there was kind of this, I represented the story, they represented the dance, and Darren represented the music, and we had to merge our philosophies together. I think you're muted. Jason, I think you're muted.
I am. Thank you. I just realized something. Half these films are kind of like on a set, a make-believe created set, and then maybe another half are in a real location. Monica, because Brian, yours is at a bar, club, whatever. Monica, you are in 1940s World War II London bomb shelters, right? Or a pub.
Yeah,
or something.
yeah. It's a Grade 2 listed building that operated as a entertainment space during the blackouts.
But did you make that space?
No, it's a real building that still exists, and they've kept it, and it still operates as an entertainment venue, and it's got a theater.
All the props and everything?
All of it was in there. So all of it was just found things from the 40s, 30s and 40s. The only thing that was new just for health and safety was the masks at the end, because can't really use the old ones.
Right. So did that space inspire this whole thing?
Kind of, yeah. So because I have a relationship with that space for like other productions and stuff, I was looking into it because I think it celebrated like 150 years of it existing as a building, and it just came out like this story of it being one of the well-known places all around Europe that, you know, as soon as it was blackouts and there were the curfews and no one was allowed to be anywhere other than their homes in a basement or in a dark room, people would just come together and there would be live music, and everyone, even like within time in terms of segregation, and everyone will come together, foreigners, strangers, people from different social backgrounds, and they didn't really know each other. They would get the gas lights just because they had to be safe when they're walking around. Spend the night there, have fun, and then go home, and then pretend they didn't know each other at the end of the day. So,
you know, as to opposed to like Marietta, did like the playground outdoors, did that influence the choreography and your inspirations?
Well, I knew what I wanted to do with the piece before we found where we wanted to dance it outside.
So how'd you get inspired for the piece? How'd it come to you?
Well, I love the song.
Ah.
Comprende la Butte is a song that has been sung in various ways, but the way Rufus Wainwright sings it, I just love he has this emotion in his voice that gave me the idea. I knew what to do. The minute I heard the song, I knew what to do with it. It was just one of those things. I had a project a few years ago in 2018, where we had to do a beginning, middle, end for only a minute and a half. So I did the first half of it up to the engagement. You know, they meet when they're kids, and then you see them growing older, and then they get engaged. And that was the end of it in the beginning. But then there was another minute and a half left of the song, and I really wanted to finish it. And then COVID happened. Wow. So I told my friend about this idea of starting them young when they're 5 years old on a playground. And then we see them going through their different phases of life with the changing of the seasons. So it would have to be shot outdoors, and all the milestones in their life happens. And then at the end, of course, it's a sad ending at the end, but there's hope. There's still hope and love in the air. And I told my friend about it, and she said, "Oh my God, I'm good. I want to be your videographer." So she jumped in, and we had an iPhone and a gimbal, and that was it. So I finished choreographing the whole thing. And then we did our little location scouting, and we walked around the park until we found, okay, this is where they meet when they're 5. And this is where they meet when they grow up and become teenagers. And now they're moving into young adulthood, the engagement, the wedding. You know, I feel like having just the two of them was important to me. So the I fills in all the other people in the story. So the I fills in their child. The I fills in the father walking the bride down the aisle. You know, everyone else is there, but it's just the two of them. I didn't want it to be any more than just the two people. And it was important to me that these two dancers stuck with me all year, because I wanted those 4 seasons. I didn't want to fabricate it. I wanted authentic spring, summer, fall, winter. It was blazing hot in July. It was freezing cold at the Bethesda Fountain when we shot the last shot in December last year. We were the only people out there because it was so cold. But that cold temperature was our
the only other challenge you could have added, the only other challenge is maybe doing one take like Colby.
Right, exactly. And it's so hard because there are other people in the park, and they're walking. Here's the perfect shot, and then someone walks right in the middle of it with their Dunkin' Donuts cup, you know.
I
And
saw some people in the background.
again.
Yeah, some people in the background are watching and viewing, which is, I like that.
I don't mind that, as long as they don't walk into the shot. And some people see that we're doing this, and they still walked right in. It's like, hello. I don't know if anyone.
I'm making a movie here.
Yeah, we're making a movie here.
Hey, Colby, so it kind of segues to your film a little bit in the sense like that Marietta shows seasons in the relationship. You show a progress of a relationship. Talk about it. And
yeah,
where did you get that idea? And why were you so crazy to do one take? What was wrong with your mind? Come on,
I can't help but be too ambitious. I take something that's a simple idea and make it a little bit impossible. I had this idea of like, can you sort of condense, first meeting and sort of being on your best behavior, and maybe not knowing how much baggage you're bringing into a relationship with someone, and then through the course of getting to know each other and actually having to be vulnerable, and like both sort of unpacking for the characters, like, oh, actually I do have some baggage. I hope that's okay. And that feels like a nice transition point to sort of the next story. So, I like a challenge, and I like things to be tricky, and having the story idea sort of lended itself to, okay, well, what activates this and lets it be something that is exciting and visual and dynamic, and has that kind of like energy, that first date energy, and trying to do it all in one take, I think gives that kind of magic anxiety and like just butterflies feeling.
Yeah, and for the
Uh,
viewer too.
yeah.
Totally fun to watch and all those emotions for the viewer. So back to maybe like the location kind of question. Where was the shot? How did you do that? Like, there's lots of flyaways. It's just a kind of a
Yeah.
white void for most of it, I think.
I wanted the white void from the Apple commercials.
Oh, right.
And no, I mean we needed just like empty and blank, and then you have to kind of design and build around that. And I was really lucky to have a great designer, Elle Vaughn, come in, and she just sort of was like, okay, well, if you need all these spaces built, like here's how we can move a curtain in, and here's how we can move a bar in, and
Right.
we just start doing it's stagecraft choreography, but hidden behind the camera. So stagehands wheeling stuff and moving stuff, and building.
Maybe we'll get to a little bit more about that process in a little bit here, I hope. I could
Yeah.
spend an hour with each individual and film here if I had the time. I wish I could. Kara, Hugh, where'd your film come from? Where'd you get the idea? Can you hear me? Hi.
Quite in opposition to what it sounds like most of the other processes were. Landfall was actually filmed really improvisationally. It was very, very rooted in sight. Kate Weir has been making choreography for the stage for many, many years, and this was our first collaboration with Jack Flame Sorokin. And essentially they'd scouted some locations in the Blue Ridge Mountains and brought down 2 of our dancers. And each day they just went out and improvised, and they'd drive down the road and see something and find another place. And they were making it up as they went along. There was no destination predefined. They just tried to quiet themselves and listen to each place and how the texture and temperature of that place, the dancers naturally interacted.
Mhm.
And then kind of the opposite of how the stage work usually happens, the real choreography of it came in the edit afterwards. When the score from Kaya Sariaho, Sept Papillon, was put together, that's where the structure found itself. And there were many versions of the film before the one that we ended up with at last.
So
To the horror of many filmmakers who don't have a shot list or a location list, when I tell people that, they just are in terror. But it was very organic.
you have and forgive me if this is kind of naive and ignorant. Do you not have a soundtrack playing for when they were dancing out in the wild?
No, absolutely not.
Oh.
They were literally and figuratively listening to each location that they found.
Wow.
And Kate
I'm gonna rewatch it without the music on.
Yeah, Kate would speak to them and sort of just direct them very gently over kind of long durational improvisations in each location.
Wow. Pretty and visually beautiful too.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, that is a credit to Jack's eye. It's really so different when you're working on a scale of a location like a huge field or a giant mud flat, rather than the box, the bare box of an Apple or a black box stage. Yeah.
So what were some of the challenges? I'll ask each one of you these questions. Challenges particular to you, or just challenges making a music video that I might not understand or an audience might not understand? Kara, I'm still on you. So what were some of the challenges you faced, or a challenge that you had to overcome?
Sure. I think learning how to work in location was definitely one of those. And while we'd made some film studies prior to this, this was really our first real film. And so I think the process of editing and really finding the story of it, and the sort of energetic arc that Kate and Jack were looking for, the filming was 14 days, but the edit was over a year.
Wow. That's filmmaking. First time filmmaker?
Yes.
Okay, you're always learning something. You never stop learning. Just let me tell you, these other guys can tell you too. Ron, what was a challenge for you?
All right, well, this is kind of a fun challenge just to talk about it. So, we did this all ourselves and we home recorded the soundtrack. everybody's familiar with Saint-Saëns, the Carnival of the Animals. You know, they know the swan and they know this, that, and the other. So the main part of that is the piano. There's actually 2 piano parts. So we have wonderful pianists at our disposal, our colleagues, and we told her she couldn't do it herself. She had had surgery, she was not well, but she's a wonderful pianist. So we went to, we sent one of our other people who's, any bunch of musicians, there's going to be a few people who are great at audio. So we sent one of them and he went there and recorded it. And I realized I got it and it's all coming together and we've got deadlines. And she had recorded the 2 piano version without orchestra for the Carnival of the Animals. She did the whole thing, you know, over the course of hours and hours and hours. So we had to go back to her again. So in other words, she was playing all the parts, not the original. And it was big embarrassment. And we did it again. We went there and we all sat there, and she's a wonderful pianist though. We finally got it great. So
Nice. Wow. Brian, challenges for your project?
Yeah, the biggest challenge we had was that we were actually making 2 films. We had 2 different movies we wanted to make in the same location. So we found a space here in Pomona, which is outside Los Angeles. So you could rent a bar a lot cheaper than you could in Los Angeles proper, and held everybody out there so we could leave our gear overnight. So the first night we actually shot a film called Flat Earther, which is also in the festival in a different shorts block. And it's our one-take movie. It's a 9-minute single take about a couple who argue about, or they think they're on the same page about conspiracy theories and then find out they're not. So we did that the first night, and then our production designer had to turn the place back into the dance club, which is what it usually is. And then we spent 4 days doing all the coverage and everything that's involved in Cabaseo. So we had one film that was no editing, all dialogue. And then we had another film, all movement, no dialogue, and nothing but editing. And it was fun to kind of set a challenge of telling 2 different stories in this, prep them, shoot them all at once, but they're 2 different styles. And
You're like Colby. You're an overachiever. I don't want to hear it. No, well done. Impressive. Colby, how about you? I can only think what challenges you had, but share some.
Yeah, I mean the opposite of no planning, which was just too much. I mean, it you know, if you do a film that has a single take, you're basically doing a play. And so that just demands like rehearsal and time and energy and commitment, and like theater actors rather than film actors generally, just because you have to remember everything. So, you know, the form of the piece was the challenge. We created a hard thing to do. And I think it's just teaching your film people like, hey, we're going to do a cue to cue. And they're like, what's a cue to cue? And you're like, oh, right. Okay. In theater, a cue to cue is we do all the cues. But that's just not a thing for film. So all of that translation from medium to medium is like, is a headache, but I think pays off. I think makes for something special and different, hopefully.
Indeed, agreed. You're inspiring me to ask another question too. But Maretta, a challenge for you making your movie.
Oh, there were many. Where do I begin?
The most fun.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm a first-time filmmaker, so you know I work in live theater, so I didn't necessarily know what to expect. I did thankfully had those 2 dancers the whole year. We rehearsed it in May, and they just had to remember it for the whole year. So every time we got back together, we would run the choreography in the apartment where we were putting their makeup on, and then we go out to the park and just hope that they remembered what they learned 6 months ago, you know, because I needed them to age with the seasons, and we had to remember where we left off in their lives.
Couldn't you just do playback or watch what you shot already?
Well, we did. We had rehearsal footage,
Okay.
you know, so we did that, but you know, you still need to run it in person.
Right.
And we had to figure out what their costumes were, and I'd be emailing them pictures, and they would send me pictures of the clothes they had and what they didn't have, so we could get the right wardrobe for them.
Was there ever a worry that they were going to move or leave or drop out?
Yeah, because they were getting jobs. One of them is on Broadway. The other one was auditioning and she left. So we had to reschedule the fall shoot for later. you know, and I needed those leaves on the trees. I didn't
Yeah.
want bare trees, you know, that because that's winter for me. And then I wanted snow. So thank God we still had some snow left. So the weather was an issue. Their schedules were an issue. I needed to find someone who had a car because I needed that car door, and no one in New York owns a car. Thank God I found my makeup artist just happened to have one because we needed, that was a moment I just had my heart set on. I also, I had my videographer sliding down the slide with the camera with the
Right.
iPhone
Right.
and handing it to Michael, my dancer, and he's hoping that he's in the frame because you
Wow.
can't tell with an iPhone. And he passes it back to Stephanie, my videographer, and she's backing up with it. That had to be one take. So
Cool.
I hope you get, you know, she can slide down the slide, not get stuck. And, you know, we're playing the music over and over again. People are staring at us, you know.
Yeah, I imagine you may have some fun bloopers too.
We have bloopers. Then there was the day when we shot the fall segment when with the car door. We got the whole thing shot. It was great. Now I can go back to my temp job because that's what I'm doing during COVID is my temp job. And we realized on the way back that we'd forgotten the wedding ring,
Oh,
which is such an important detail. We
That's
shot the
cool.
whole thing without the ring, and the hand is so obvious. So we had to go back to the apartment, get the ring. We got stuck in traffic driving all the way back up to the Upper East Side to that same location. We had to shoot that ring segment again in such a hurry because because we all had to go somewhere that day. And but that ring had to be on her finger. And I know they were like, oh, come on, Moretta, it's not that important.
Right. They don't
Like,
care.
yes,
They're like, it's good
important.
enough.
They're married. They have a kid that just graduated and is leaving the house.
Well, way to stick to it.
I couldn't believe we forgot it,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
and
you
the
overcame.
continuity thing is
Yeah.
another thing, you know.
Yeah, you got to stay true to your vision. That's one of the hard parts. That's why you're a director. It's like, no, we got to redo this.
It has to be right if we're going to go through all this. It has to be right because I don't want to look at it later on at the footage and wish we'd done it.
Yeah, but there'll always be things you look back on your films where you know you.
Why didn't I notice that?
You'll
His hair was like
you
this.
never stop doing that as a filmmaker.
I
Monica,
know.
what were some challenges?
Scheduling.
Always.
Always like because similarly like all the dancers are freelancers, so they're working on other shows as well, and coordinating with the venue. They only had like a couple of dates a month that we were available to go in, and they weren't really budging on that as well, and then making sure that the music was ready beforehand. So it was just coordinating quite a lot of people to get this done. And then the other thing was just making sure that we actually found all the things that we needed, like the outfits and the masks and the shilling coin and everything that was from the 40s. And thank God for my art director who knew where to go and look for all of that stuff.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah.
And did you shoot all at the same time? Did you break up the shoot dates?
No, we did it only one day.
Oh, one day. Okay,
Yeah.
well that helps. Yeah, that helps.
Didn't have a choice.
Yeah, are you a dancer yourself?
Yeah, I was a dancer. Now more of a choreographer, so I'm on the other side of the table, as some say.
Okay, I guess what I'm going to get to for all you guys now, because I'm not a dancer, I love dancing, love watching dancing. Why a dance film? Like, you got some great films here. These are good movies. These are good shorts. So why didn't you make some other sort of short film? Why a dance film? Monica, I'm on you. So why a dance film?
Because I've come in as a movement person, so it's a little bit difficult for me to step away from it. I quite like the fact that there's no dialogue, and I do love films, so it kind of felt like the perfect place to be.
Yeah, I think there's not enough dance in film anymore. I mean, you only see it once in a while, you know, but as opposed to back at the start of cinema, motion pictures, it was like a regular thing with
Yeah.
all these great dancers, and we don't see it enough now. You know, besides the big name Hollywood ones like La La Land, but I can't think of too many dance films, right? Kara, why a dance film? Are you a dancer? Talk about dancing in short films. Why didn't you make another short film?
Well, we are or have been a dance company for the stage, Kate Weir Company. And I think that as Kate has moved toward film, one of our I think, goals at least, is to not just take choreography as you would make it for the stage and just record it with a camera, but to really try to
Which you
understand.
do get submissions like that.
Of
Sorry
course,
to
of
say, where I don't
course,
want to watch
yeah.
rehearsal in real time.
Yeah, but I think one of the very first things that Kate realized was that your control over the lens it creates such a different interaction with the body that things that are very, very interesting on stage are not at all interesting on film, and vice versa. And so the challenge really was to approach how the body spoke to the land in a filmic capacity.
Cool. It's great to visually watch. Brian, why a dance film? You are an editor first, right? If I remember correctly, and inspired by your dance classes.
I think, I'm a film student, probably before an editor first and foremost. I went to the University of Southern California. A lot of my team or my former classmates were out in the industry now. And whenever you do a short film, you're not going to make any money off of it. It's not a financial exercise like a feature film would be. So you might as well experiment and try new genres and try new things. So I had done a sci-fi romantic comedy called Far. I'd done a World War II film called Una Invasión. If I was going to throw my hat back in and take the time to do the short film, it had to be a different challenge. And so exploring that area that, like you said, classic Hollywood, George Stevens swing time, all the way through Bob Fosse and all that jazz, that's great. That's a fun exercise for me to learn from. And if I can get a film out of that, I think that was my goal, was to kind of put my foot in that pool and find out what I could do with it.
We get a lot of submissions, short film submissions with their dance films. You guys rose to the top, so congratulations. But it's amazing now I'm realizing like the short form film form actually lends itself perfectly for dance movies. Anyways, I just want to make that comment. Ron, how about you? Why a dance film?
Well,
I
had a golden opportunity. Obviously, I had 100 dancers and 60 musicians of the New York City Ballet saying, we need to do we need content. But personally, staged dance on film has laid flat for years. And personally, I think the art form is really wide open for experimentation now. It can rise and rise right now. And I was just trying to see, what we could do, because when you're sitting home in the lockdown, also, you see everybody was trying to put out content, just because artists, we have to do it, us performing artists. And, I saw a lot of my friends in their houses playing their pieces or other people's pieces. And there was very little dance. There was some people doing, things, but we were like, we have to do something, we have to. So that's one of my goals. I really want to see where this art form can go. I think it's wide open.
Yeah, me too. That's why we were able to have a dedicated program, Everybody Dance Now. And I don't know if we've had it before. It's just like, wait a minute, why do I gotta, spatter these around the different programs? I'm gonna make one program by itself.
There's been a lot of dance on film, but a lot of it has always been, just staged films of the stage version,
Yeah, less kind of art and experimental and that kind of thing. Colby, why a dance film, dance short?
I'm primarily a writer and kind of moving into directing my own writing as well, and knew that I wanted to do this piece. And
What kind of writing do you do? Let me interrupt you real quick.
I have a film that I wrote that's coming out on Netflix in the spring.
So you're a screenwriter.
Yeah, so for film and TV.
And what's that film? I'm sorry, I'm interrupting.
No, that's called Spaceman. So it'll be the next dramatic Adam Sandler film. So check it out. And moving into directing for myself, and wanted to do something that kind of would be a challenge. I think I've worked on stuff that you get to direct a conversation or like sketch comedy, but like I wanted to do something that was like visual and challenging, and like, oh, I'm like directing something that feels cinematic. And so movement, dance, choreo, like just felt hard. And so I was like, great, I'll do the hard thing.
Nice, glad you did. Well done. And who didn't ask this question? Moretta, did I ask you this question?
For me, I've never done this before. So I wanted to see how.
Never done a film
I've
before.
never done a film before. And it was an opportunity to do it. And I wanted to challenge myself, and step out of my comfort zone, which it is slightly terrifying. I've never known how one of my dance pieces would translate to film before. And I wanted to find that out. And it makes you look at the choreography differently in the moments and the timing, getting that engagement ring on, that timing of that was so delicate. And it's, on stage, it's different timing than it is in film. And I realized I can do things with editing that you can't do in live theater, which is a luxury. But I wanted to see if my story could be told clearly without a word being spoken. And dance can allow you to do that. But because it was a film, it was a different genre for me. And I really don't know how I would do this piece on stage.
Right.
If I wanted to stick with one couple, how would I do that on stage? On film, I can figure it out. And it's something I never realized was something I would be capable of actually exploring.
So what did it translate? Did you realize your vision? Did it work?
Yeah, I did. I also had the right team of people with me who believed in the idea. I was very fortunate to find the dancers, the makeup artist, my friend Stephanie, who was my videographer, who was also a dancer. We've done live theater together in New York for years.
So what's something you may have learned about yourself, about filmmaking, but more so about yourself?
Well, I've learned that to be patient, a little more patient with myself, to not get too panicked if something doesn't go right the first time, because you can always do a retake. And in live theater, there are no do-overs. In film, you can always find some footage in there that will somehow, if you can splice it together, you can make it work. Which that was a fun thing to learn.
I don't heed the adage you can fix it in post, but sometimes that's possible.
Sometimes it is possible. And then sometimes, I wanted to double shoot or triple shoot some moments, even though, my dancers are getting tired. It's 100 degrees outside or it's freezing cold outside. But can we just do one more take? Because I just want to make sure we got it. And I'm not sure if we did, because I'm hiding behind a tree in the park and I'm hearing the music, but I have to stay out of the shot. So I'm hiding behind a tree. So I can't.
I would have loved to watch the making of your movie, all your movies, but yours and maybe Ron's too. Going, what the heck's going on? Ron, what's something you learned, Ron?
What I learned, and I'm interested in what our professional editor Brian has to say in editing dance. We all sort of taught ourselves how to do all these facets of filmmaking, but I did most of the editing in it. And what I discovered was, and you tell me if this rings true to other genres of filmmaking, Brian, that what I said, I'm going to just be what I know is how to be musical. And musical meaning there's a line, and the line has variation and dynamics and intensity and contrast. And, I tried to translate that into how to edit, video. And so I'm really interested in if you've ever thought of it that way. I mean, being musical can mean a lot of things, but that's how I mean it. And as we play, as we play, we think about the whole line,
Totally. Well, I think all films have a rhythm, and there is an internal, whether that's dictated by what the actors are doing in the rhythm of the dialogue or the rhythm of the movement, or just and then the larger kind of global thing. When you look out and look at the whole story, there's a pace. Like I was editing a feature film a long time ago, and the whole audience at this one scene was going too slow. And I said, that's not the scene. It's the scene before it. It's this 45-second single take, no cuts. That's slow. They're feeling it here. That's where the rhythm lies. And it's all about that rhythm that the audience feels. And because when they feel it might not be when it happened. You may have been off rhythm beforehand. And that's a big, big component of it. And that's one of the things, is reason, like when I direct a film, I don't edit it because I may not feel the rhythm properly. So Cabasea was edited by my friend Barry Wise, who I went to USC with, works on CSI and Gotham and all these TV shows. And he came, and we shot 3 weeks before the pandemic, so he had nothing to do because I gave him the drive right when the pandemic happened. So we, he and I had to discover that together, which was a little interesting because it's all done over Zoom. But yeah, the finding those rhythms in the film is key, no matter what the genre is.
Yeah, good comment. Monica, did you learn anything?
Quite a bit. That there's no do-overs after a certain point, and you're stuck with whatever's on film.
What you got? What you got?
Yeah, we had a few interesting takes. Let's put it that way. Yeah, and just prep.
What's the saying? Pre-production provides better poor or something. Poor planning, something. The 10 P's. I don't know what it is. Anyways, Colby, what's something you learned?
I to what Brian was saying about rhythm, I think you really need to work with people who, I think my ideal is working with people who know more than me, or have more to contribute than me, or have a whole new skill that I don't have. And I think like one of the things that was most exciting to get to learn is, talking with our cinematographer, who was wonderful. There were moments that I had planned and envisioned, and she was like, yeah, but that doesn't mean that to me. Like, what you're envisioning doesn't do what you think it does. And like, that is such a helpful thing to look for in collaborators.
Yeah.
And I just got so excited by having people who, knew more than me about stuff. And
Very, very important to surround yourself with talented cast and crew. And I just remembered, poor pre-production provides piss poor production, or something like that. Sorry. Kara, what'd you learn?
I just want to keep tagging on here with Colby, because I think that collaboration really was key to this being realized as beautifully as it was. Jack Flame Sorokin was able to speak with Kate and make that translation, the things that we had developed instincts for in the stage, when you're speaking with, your lighting designer, your stage designer, your costume designer, all of those elements that we sort of understand the chemistry of, we essentially had to completely recalibrate those instincts to the film medium, and having Jack with us was key to that. Also, maybe shoot less hours of footage. We have a couple more films within the films that we've shot for this one, but we're doing better on that.
We gotta wrap it up here. This is a great Q&A. Kara, I'm on you. Anything you want to add or say that I didn't ask you or comment on?
Just thank you to everyone for watching the film and for selecting us.
You're welcome. Thank you for making it. Monica, you want to add anything or ask your other filmmakers something or say something I didn't ask you?
No, I just wanted to say thanks. This conversation is actually quite stimulating as well. So thanks for organizing all of this.
Yeah, indeed, for us too. Maretta.
I want to thank you all for organizing this, and it's so nice to meet you all too, and to hear what you all went through that we can all kind of relate to. So I know I'm not alone in all of this. It's just such an honor to be included in these selections. I really enjoyed seeing everybody's work, and to have our small film be a part of the work that you all did is truly it's truly an honor. So thank you.
Sweet. Ron, anything you want to add that I didn't say?
Well, I want to, it's really an honor to be a part of a group of very thoughtful people, so I appreciate that. And one thing I was going to say, another little quip, what I've learned in working in, live music and live theater, there's a difference between making art and putting on a show, and movie making, filmmaking really focuses those two different things. You're really doing it.
Yeah.
At one point, no more art. We're putting on this show.
Yeah. Show business. So true. Brian, you want to add anything I didn't give you time to do?
Yeah, just piggyback off of what Kiara was saying about collaboration. I think all films are conversations. You bring in all those different peoples, all those experts from those different departments. You tell them what you want, and you have this conversation, and they add on their own things and make it better than what you started with. And the best part is now we get to we hand this conversation, thanks to you, Jason, and the film festival, over to the audience, and now they get to pick up that baton and run with it, and hopefully that inspires and continues that conversation we started on our own and in them and their lives. So
I'm
thanks
sure
for that
it will.
opportunity.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. Your films are all inspiring, wonderful to watch. Colby, I don't think I got you right. I think you want to add at the end here.
I've got all these other people in front of me saying smart things first.
Well, then say
No.
something different, please.
Thank you so much for having us. I do think, like, to what everybody's saying, I hope the films inspire you to go make something else. And I think that that's sort of the magic of getting to see, especially a program like this where it's just sort of all types of different work. I was really honored to be part of it. So thanks for having us, guys.
Yeah, thanks for making your films. Like I said, couldn't do it without your movies. So I'm glad you took on the projects and completed the projects. Congrats on that alone, let alone getting into our film festival and all your other successes that are sure to come. I hope I meet you guys in person. I'll knock on your door when I'm in New York City or LA or wherever you may be. But keep in touch.
Thank
All
you.
right, guys. Thanks for watching, everybody. That's it for this Q&A. Check out more indie films at sfindie.com. And thank you for supporting independent cinema and movie theaters. All right. Ciao.